So we kick off this game plan series, and over the next few weeks, I'll just be honest, I'm going to push you a little bit. Because if you've attended Watermark for any amount of time but haven't really done anything but attend on a Sunday morning, I say this all the time, I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad that you made the choice to join us, be a part of our services. But my hope is that after you're here for a while, and I can't force what a while looks like for you, for your family, but you need to engage. Step outside of just attending on a Sunday morning. And so that's really what this series is about, and really the mission and vision of Watermark and where we feel God leading us to. So that's just kind of where we're at this morning. But before I jump into the message, I want to do something. I guess you can just call it a game. This is real or fake football player names. All right, real or fake football player names. So I'm going to read off the name. And if you think it was a real football player's name, you can raise your hand. If you don't think it was a real football player's name, you can keep your hands down, okay? So that's how we'll play the game. It's just fun. So here's our first one. Is General Booty a real football player's name or not? If you think it's a real dude, put your hand up. If you don't, keep your hand down. He's a real dude. Real dude, played for Oklahoma. I think recently played for the University of Oklahoma. General Booty. Who knows? Who knows? All right, next one. Next name, Tiger Shanks. Tiger Shanks. If that's a real name, put your hand up if you think it is. If it's not, keep your hand down. It is real. UNLV. He played for UNLV in college, and I think he got a couple tries, maybe Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, so Tiger Shanks is a real name. All right, next one. Kool-Aid McKinstry. Is that a real name? Kool-Aid McKinstry. Is it not? Kool-Aid McKinstry. It's legit. It's a real name. Kool-Aid McKinstry. Alabama. I think he played for Alabama in college. And yeah. Next one. Rocket Thompson. Rocket Thompson. If you think that's a real dude's name, put your hand up. If it's not, put your hand down. It's not a real name. Not a real dude. Sounds like it though, right? Just sounds like he's fast and he's running. Yeah, but not a real name. All right, next one. Buster Rhymes. Now, it's Buster, not Busta. Buster Rhymes. How many of you think that's a real dude's name? Not. It's real. It's real. In fact, Busta Rhymes, that's where he got the inspiration for his name. Yeah. Blow you away, Dan, right? Next one, Blaze McCracken. Blaze McCracken. If you think it's real, put your hand up. If you think it's not, keep your hand down. Not real. It's just a made-up fake name. All right. Next one, DiCaprio Boodle. DiCaprio Boodle. If you think it's real, hand up. Think it's not, hand down. Real dude. Real dude. Real guy that played college ball and I think got a couple tries in the pros. All right, I got two more. Here's the next one. Cortez Lightning. Oh, wait, no, I missed one. Sorry. Guys, we'll go back to the other one. Steele Daniels. Steele Daniels. Is it real or fake? If you think it's real, hand up. Fake, hand down. I just made it up. Not a real name, but it sounds good. It sounds real good. All right, next one. Now, Cortez Lightning. If you think it's a real name, hand up. Fake name, hand down. It's fake. It's fake. There is no Cortez Lightning, but it sounds good. It sounds real good. And here's your final one. Here's your last name, Booger McFarland. If you think it's real, hands up. Don't, hands down. And it's legit, right? There's a dude. I don't know if that's his real name, but he goes by Booger McFarland. So awesome. Now, right, it's just kind of fun with all those names. And some sounded just ridiculous that you thought, there's no way that's a real name. But then there were some others that you kind of thought, well, maybe you second-guessed yourself a little bit. And here's why I just started with that. Because it's not just with football games when we're not sure if it's real or fake. That's life. Because you know that we live in a world full of things that look good on the surface, but leave us wondering, is it real? You know, you've seen the knockoffs, right? You've seen the filters. You've seen the highlight reels. We scroll all the time. We scroll past perfectly edited photos. We hear the polished sound bites. We see all these perfect moments strung together. And it's hard in our culture, in our day and age, to tell what's genuine and then what's just for show. And I would even kind of push you, right? If you're really honest with yourself, it's not just out there with other people, it's with us, within us too. Right? You and I, we all feel it every single day. We feel the pressure to measure up. We feel the pressure to be liked, to look like we've got it all together. Like we feel that all the time. And so what do, right? We curate, we edit, we polish our image. But here's the thing, and you know this, you're smart people. Nobody actually connects with that highlight reel. Sure, people are impressed in the moment, but they don't build relationships based on that. I mean, think about it. When somebody only posts the dream vacation and the perfect family photo, you might hit like, right? You might hit like, but you don't feel closer to that person. But now compare that to when somebody's actually willing to share something real. You've seen people share, right? Like the kitchen disaster where dinner burned and the smoke alarm went off, right? You'd laugh at that because you've experienced that. Or maybe you've seen somebody share some more vulnerable things and have that vulnerable moment and they admitted that they're struggling with anxiety or just feeling lonely lately, right? You hear somebody share those kinds of things, you lean in a little bit. Me too. Because it's real. And I've seen this up close. There's a friend of mine, he attends our church. His name's Matt. And Matt leads an AA group here on Monday nights. And I love it because when Matt talks about his group, he tells it like it is. He does not dress it up. He talks about his group. He doesn't try to make it sound more polished or put a positive spin on it. He calls the people, the men and women that show up to his AA group, he calls it like it is. He'll laugh and he'll describe everybody as a bunch of degenerates, himself included, a bunch of mentally ill kids. But then he'll go on and he'll explain why he would use those terms. And you just say, because when alcohol takes over, it wrecks everything. Relationships and health and finances, driving privileges, jobs. It wrecks those things over and over and over again. And so no one can deny that kind of brokenness happens. But here's what I love about the way just Matt talks and the way he sees his group and his role in leading that. He always points out that after working the steps, after finding God and learning to live differently, he always points out, you never have to go back to that old life. You're not doomed to stay a degenerate. He always talks, you can be changed and you can be free. And yet he says, when I walked, into AA from the very beginning, God didn't give me a new brain. He would tell you, I still wrestle with the same thoughts and the same temptations. And that's why he would say, that's why I need God every single day. And you might think, right, like Matt talking that way about his group, it might push people away, but it doesn't. It does the exact opposite because it's real and it's raw and it's authentic. And that's what makes people lean in and say, well, finally, somebody's being honest. Finally, somebody's being real about themselves and real about some of their struggles, because what draws us in and what makes us connect is when someone is willing to do just that, to be real. It's that raw, unpolished, honest moments where life actually happens. That's what people are looking for. And that's what deep relationships are even built on. That's what our world is desperate for, authenticity. Now, if you're not a believer, maybe you don't really know where you stand with church or stand with Jesus, what we're talking about today and all that stuff, this can just be food for thought. And you're not on the hook for any of this. But if you are a follower, if you've made the choice to follow Jesus, this goes way deeper for us. Because Jesus constantly called out people who lived inauthentic lives. He called them out all the time. People who knew how to look polished on the outside, but they were hiding something completely different on the inside. And the group that Jesus went head to head with the most, it was the religious leaders. It was a group called the Pharisees. In this group, they had the robes and they had the titles and they had the long, perfect public prayers, and they knew the scriptures inside and out. And from the outside, and everybody saw it, from the outside, they looked like they were the spiritually elite people in the community. They were the ones that had it all together. But here's what Jesus said to them when he confronted them. He says, what sorrow awaits you, teachers of religious law and you Pharisees. You're just hypocrites because you're so careful to clean the outside of the cup and the dish, but on the inside, it's a different story. He says, you're filthy. You're full of greed and self-indulgence. In other words, what Jesus was getting at and getting on to them about was that guys, you've mastered the highlight reel, but you've lost what's real. You've learned how to manage your appearance, but you've neglected what's going on underneath the surface. You've mastered the performance, but you've lost the relationship. And the danger in that for any of us, it's huge. Because when the outside looks polished and the inside is empty, people don't see God in us as followers. They just see a show. And that's why this matters so much. Because authenticity isn't just about me. It's not just about you living a free and honest, whole kind of life. It's not just for my sake. It's not just for your sake. It's bigger than that. Authenticity is about God using me and you, using our real, imperfect, authentic lives so others can see him in us and working through us, so that the world can encounter Jesus through me and through you. And so here's the question that I'd ask you. What would people say about you? What would people say about you? Are you real or fake? Authentic or fake? Does the inside match the outside? Now, maybe even a better question is if the people closest to you, I mean, we're talking, your spouse or your kids or your coworkers or your friends. If we ask them about you, what would they say? Do they get the real you, or do they get that polished version of you? The version that looks good for a post, but isn't really what's happening beneath the surface. Because it's easy to fool people from a distance. We do it all the time. The highlight reel works great on strangers, but people up close, they see it and they know. They see who you are when the camera's not rolling. And maybe that's the uncomfortable part. Because if I'm honest, right, there are plenty of moments where I don't want people to see the real me, right? I don't want them to see the moments where I'm impatient, or the moment when my temper gets the best of me, or when I'm insecure, or maybe when I'm selfish or even careless. But those are the very places that Jesus wants to meet us. He's not looking for the polished version. He wants the real version. And I say all that because here's why that matters. If you've made the decision to follow Jesus Christ, as a follower of Jesus Christ, Jesus says this to you and I. He says, let me tell you why you're here. Let me tell you why you're here. I don't know if you've ever wondered that. I don't know if you've ever wondered, hey, why am I here? But Jesus gives us some really good news, and you and I don't have to guess anymore. He says, let me tell you why you are here. You're here to be salt seasoning that brings out the God flavors of this earth. And right, we love salt. What does salt do? Salt makes things better. French fries without salt, who wants them? Right? Popcorn without salt, that doesn't sound good. Pretzels without the little salt crystals on the top. Salt makes things better. And then Jesus says, salt makes things better, and he gives us a warning. He says, if you lose your saltiness, how will people taste godliness? You've lost your youthfulness and will end up in the garbage. And if that wasn't clear enough, Jesus, he gives us another example to help us see what you're here for. He says, here's another way to put it. You're here to be light. Now, what does light do? Light makes things brighter. Right? Light brings brings brightness to darkness. And so Jesus says, here's how that happens. That light brings out the God colors in the world. God is not a secret to be kept. We're going public with this, as public as a city on a hill. He says, if I make you light bearers, you don't think I'm going to hide you under a bucket, do you? No, I'm putting you on a light stand. Now that I put you there on a hilltop or on a light stand, Jesus says, here's what I need you to do. Shine. Jesus, if you've made the choice to follow him, he says, here's what you're here for. I want you to be salt and light. Salt makes things better. Light makes things brighter. That where you living out your faith authentically should be salt and light to the people, to the world around you. It should make things better and it should make things brighter. Because here's the truth. As followers, when we actually live this out, it's different and the world takes notice. Salt doesn't sit quietly on the shelf. It changes the flavor of whatever it touches. Salt changes things. Light reveals things because light doesn't blend in with the darkness, right? It cuts through and changes the outlook of the whole room. And so in the very same way, as Jesus uses this imagery to say, hey, here's what you're here for. Your authentic faith isn't meant to be invisible. It's not meant to be something that you keep private, keep tucked away. That your faith is meant to make a difference. Where you live and where you work, where you go to school, it's meant to make a difference in your relationship. It's meant to make a difference in your family. The people should be able to say that when you're around, things just feel different, better, and somehow brighter. You as a coworker at work, everybody should want to work with you because you're the one that doesn't complain and you're the kind of person that's always encouraging. You're the type of employee that always owns up to their mistakes instead of covering them up. As a follower of Jesus Christ, if you're going to make things better and make things brighter, you're the kind of person that should make the office better because you're there. At home, right? Better and brighter. You should be the parent that apologizes when you mess up. You should be the spouse who listens instead of always trying to get in the last word. You should be the sibling who helps carry the load instead of stirring up the drama. Students at school, better and brighter, right? You should be the kind of student that includes the kid that's sitting alone. You should be the kind of student that celebrates others' wins instead of tearing them down, who brings light into the hallway when everyone else is just trying to blend in. As a friend, better and brighter and salt and light, you should be the best friend. The one that checks in when somebody seems quiet. The one that shows up when they're going through hard times, not just the fun times. The friend people know that they can count on you in your neighborhood, right? You should be the neighbor that waves, right? Who actually learns your neighbor's names, who shovels the driveway next door just because. Online, social media-wise, you should be the voice of encouragement instead of criticism. Be the one that posts something hopeful in a world of negativity. At the grocery store, would you just put your carts away? Like, that's it. That's it. Just put your carts away. That's all I'm asking. Just put your carts away. Just kidding. But see, that's what it looks like to be salt and light, to make things better and brighter. Because when you do that, and when you live that way with that purpose, because Jesus said, this is why you are here. People aren't just seeing you. They're catching a glimpse of him through you. They're, in a way, encountering God through you. And so we should follow Jesus' example in every area of our lives. We should give more than we take. We should serve others out of love. In a world, right, in a world that is just sitting around, I think, waiting to be offended, we should be the ones that are turning the other cheek instead of always taking offense. I mean, our lives should reflect the behavior of Jesus. And because we do these things, it should make the world around us better and brighter. And think about the things that Jesus did that just characterized his life. I mean, Jesus valued all people. So ask yourself, do you? Do you value all people? And here's the thing with that, valuing all people doesn't mean that you and I have to celebrate everything that they do. It certainly means that we see them as being made in the image of God, even when their choices don't reflect God's truth. Because that's what Jesus did. That Jesus could sit at a table with people that the religious crowd avoided and love them deeply and still at the same time call them to a different way of life. And you know what else Jesus did? Jesus gave more than he received. Do you give more than you receive? Jesus didn't keep score. Do you? Do you stop yourself from keeping score? Jesus did the right things for the right reasons. Do you? Do you do the right things for the right reasons? Jesus did this all the time. Jesus put other people first. Do you? Do you put other people first? And Jesus brought people together. Do you bring people together? And ultimately, Jesus lived an authentic life. Do you? Do you live an authentic life? And if I could, right, maybe at this point, maybe you've tuned me out, right? Maybe you've kind of just, you're thinking about the Lions game this afternoon and all the things you got to do, or maybe you're thinking, hey, these are all the things I got to do before Monday morning. If you could just give me just a couple more minutes, if you could just lean in for a second. If you call Watermark home, if somebody were to say, hey, do you go to church? Where do you go to church? And you were to say, Watermark, if this is your church, I want you to hear this because this is specifically for you. Because all of this that I've talked about, it's not even just about being part of a church family. This is about you and I. As we authentically live out our faith, as we're salt and light in the world around us, seeking to make things better and make things brighter for his kingdom's sake. What happens when we do that is this. And Paul, I love how he says it. He says, we are therefore Christ's ambassadors, as though God were making his appeal through us. That means the way you live and the way you love and the way you show up at work and at school and in your neighborhood, you're not just representing Watermark. You are representing Jesus. And if the world is going to encounter us through him, then we don't have the option to be fake. We can't settle for the highlight reel. We've got to live authentically. Because who we are as a church, it's not about any program that we do or buildings or strategies. It's about people that are willing to be real, right? People who aren't going to hide their mess, but then let God redeem it. People who bring light into dark places, who make things better, who live so authentically with Jesus that others can't help but stop and wonder and take notice. And that's exactly what your neighbors need. And that's exactly what our schools need and our workplaces need. That's what our world needs. And so here's my challenge. If you call Watermark home, you say, well, that's my church. Would you be willing to say, I'm in? Would you be willing to say, I'm in? That I want to live authentically. I want my life to be salt and light. I want to make things better and brighter in the places that God has put me. I want to be an ambassador, not just for a church name, but for Jesus. So if today is not your first day here, you would know that at the end of every service, I or somebody else, Derek or somebody else is up here. At the end of every service, we say, go and leave a lasting, all right, you got it. Every Sunday. And what's interesting about that is about 5 years ago, our staff, our board we were becoming a new church. It was going to be at the beginning of January 2021, and we didn't have a name, we didn't have a mission, we didn't have a vision, but through a lot of prayer and just, God, what does it look like for us as we live out what you've called us to in our community? We came up with the name, or we landed on the name Watermark and the vision behind that. But I'll tell you, I said that to the staff multiple times over the year. Like, I love the ending and, go leave a lasting mark. But I've always felt like it just not quite enough. I don't know, it's just always felt like, when you got to sneeze, but the sneeze doesn't come out and you're kind of not done with, right? It's always felt like that for me. And I couldn't even put my finger on it. And I'd always talk to the staff and talk to the board like, I don't know, it just feels like it's missing something. And away on my sabbatical, spent a ton of time just listening and praying and journaling. And I feel like I kind of landed, or at least God gave me a direction for me that seems more complete. I sat down with the staff and we kind of talked through it and we prayed through it. And I feel like we've got something that just feels like us, feels complete. And I'll just read it out here. It says this: we live as authentic followers of Jesus, marked by his presence. And because of that, we go boldly together, serving faithfully, leading humbly, and giving generously. That we will encounter God, experience community, and we will leave a lasting mark for generations to come. And that just feels complete, full. And I feel like that's who we are. And that's what we're about. Now, in just a moment, I'm going to have you stand, and we're going to say that together. But before we do, again, I'm talking to those that call Watermark your church. For the rest of the month, like I said, for the rest of this series, I'm going to push you. And I got 2 really practical steps that I'm going to talk about every single week. And many of you, I know, have already taken one or both of these. But for those that haven't, here's what I'm challenging you to do. For some, I want you to step outside of just showing up on a Sunday morning and get in a group. Get in a small group outside of just being here on a Sunday morning. I was talking to a group leader after the 9 o'clock service. She came up to me and she was talking about her group and some of the things. And she said, I'm going through something with my dad. He's struggling. My group, they've been texting me. They've been checking in on me. They've been praying for me. They've been praying for my dad. That is what a group does. And if you don't have a group around you, you are missing out. You just are. You are missing out on that connection, that place where you can be authentically who you are and who God created you to be and live that out. You are missing out if you are not in a group. I say all the time, if I could just push a button for you, like I could just make you do something, this would be it. So the first thing, just get in a group. Get in a group. When we do groups here, we launch them for 6 weeks. At the end of the 6 weeks, if that's not a good fit for you, that's okay. And maybe I got some of you, maybe you've done groups at a different church or something like that. And maybe you had a bad experience, like, I don't want to do that again. But how many things in life have you had a bad experience and you didn't quit doing it? Like Mac and I went out. We were trying to go to this one burger joint that just opened because he loves cheeseburgers. So we were going out the other night. The line was out the door, so we went somewhere else. The burger was gross. It wasn't good. Wasn't a good cheeseburger. Do you think I'm never going to have a cheeseburger again because I had a bad experience? No, they are delicious, and I'm going to enjoy them as much as I can. But I just say that because maybe you have had a bad experience, but you don't need to write off small groups because you had one bad experience. So join a group. Second thing, volunteer. Get involved. Get involved and help out in the mission and vision of Watermark. Because I'll tell you, when you volunteer, when you serve other people, that is when your faith becomes action, where you become salt and light in real life moments. So would you do one of those 2 things? Both of those things, if you haven't done them, get in a group and volunteer. So in your seat, there's a card like this. There are 2 separate QR codes. One lets you fill out a form to say, hey, I'm interested into a group, to getting into a group. You're not signing your life away. You're not even signing up for a group. You're just saying, I want to know a little bit more. And you can say, hey, I'm interested in a men's group or women's group or couples groups. And that's it. We'll reach out. We'll help you find a fit for you. We launched the first week of October. So maybe some of you, that's what you scan. And then for others, it's that volunteer one. You scan that QR code, and it's an opportunity for you to just tell us what you'd be interested in. So those 2 things. And here's one thing we're going to do. Again, every Sunday, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm pushing you to. On the last Sunday of September, Sunday, September 28th, we're going to have what we call Watermark Signing Day. And if you could join us on that Sunday, it's going to be a fun Sunday after each service, and we're going to have opportunities for you to get signed up for both of these things. You'll be able to talk to some of the ministry leaders. You'll be able to talk to some of the small group leaders. We're going to have that, but I also realize maybe you can't make it that Sunday. I just want you to take that step. One of those 2 things. Get in a group, find a place to volunteer, And we'd love to have you join us on that last Sunday of the month, just where we give you a chance to ask some questions. And we're going to do some fun stuff with everybody that says, hey, yeah, I'm in. I'm all in. This is what I want to be a part of. So that's that. That's my plug. Hopefully I made you feel guilty enough to scan one of those QR codes. But I want to close with this. You might have heard everything that I said this morning, and it didn't move the needle for you one bit, right? You're going to walk out of here, and that's fine. That's fine. You might say, yeah, it's volunteering is not for me. Group, that's just not my thing. That's fine. But you need to know, we're not going anywhere. We're not. And we are absolutely still going to be here for you. And we are absolutely still going to be here for your students, for your kids, because that's what we've been called to. So if you walk out of here and, Larry doesn't know what he's talking about, and that's not me, that's fine. But we will still continue to be the church for you and this community, because that's what we've been called to do. But we just know that in the long run, we're better with you. So please, 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 in the long run, we know we are better with you. So would you say, I'm in. I want to be a part of it. I want God to use me. I want to be a part of what God's doing here. Would you bow your heads with me? Dear Heavenly Father, God, thank you for today. Thank you for the chance to just, I love your word, God. I love that you tell us exactly what we're here for. God, I pray that we would be a church that is salt and light, that we would make the world better and brighter around us, not for our sake, but for your kingdom's sake, God. That is what we are called to. So God, may we live that out as we're dispersed into the communities in which you've placed us, into the neighborhoods and the workplaces. God, let us be salt and light, authentic followers of you that live out our faith every single moment of the day so that people see you in us, that we're ambassadors for you. And with heads bowed, eyes closed, just want to do this. Right? You might be joining us online. You might have just walked in this morning. Maybe somebody invited you. It's your first Sunday, and you didn't know what to expect at church, and maybe you've kind of gave up on church, but you just thought you'd show up today. I don't know where everybody is, but maybe if you don't have a relationship with Jesus Christ yet, or maybe you walked away from your faith, you just need to know that your Heavenly Father, the creator of the universe, he's been waiting for you. He loves you and wants a relationship with you. And he communicated it in the way that caught the attention of the world when he sent his son to die on a cross for you. And you can start that relationship in a very simple way this morning, a prayer that you can pray right where you're at in your own mind, not for anybody else, and a prayer that could go something like, Dear Heavenly Father, thank you. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for sending your son to die on a cross for me. God, forgive me of my sins, and today I choose to follow you. And so, God, again today, we just thank you. I pray that we would be salt and light, that burden, we'd feel it, that we'd live with authenticity and make the world around us better and brighter. So God, we love you. We praise you. Amen.